Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spilling the Beans. Today, this episode is the season finale, the finale for season 1 of Spilling the Beans. If I remember correctly, this is episode 15, and so that seems like a good number to end on, I guess, for season 1. Now I'm saying season 1 because I plan on doing this in the future. I just need a break before I start recording episodes in the next little bit because I want to, what I've thought would be good for the podcast is if I decided to, I thought it would be good if I had a lot of topics on hand to talk about. Some of my favorite things to talk about are things that have happened recently, and so I feel like if I give myself time to have experiences and also think about just certain topics to talk about, then I'll have a whole arsenal of things. I have an arsenal of topics at my disposal, so I won't just be devoid of things to say, and then when I finally get something, then I'll make an episode. I thought it would be good to have things on hand so that I could consistently make more episodes. And so today's episode is probably going to be a little shorter just because I don't have too much to talk about, but some good things will be coming in the future. I'd like to have more guests on my podcast. I think that's a really fun thing. If you listen to episode 4, that's when I talk with my friend Carter about various topics. I think we mostly just like nerd out about things, and that was a lot of fun. That was a great experience. Carter is a great guy, and so yes, definitely look up that episode and yeah, check it out. But anyway, I'm gonna take some time off from recording episodes to plan the next season, pretty much. And so yeah, that's probably what's going to be happening. Maybe in a month or so, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. I'll start the next season. Just when I feel the time is right. I'll probably have like some sort of a teaser as to when it'll begin, maybe a week before on the Instagram. I'll consult with my social media expert on that. And yeah, it'll be great. Anyway, one thing I wanted to talk about was my aunt has a podcast on Anchor right now. I haven't checked it out myself yet, to be honest. I feel bad because I'm like promoting something I haven't even like seen. But I am definitely going to check it out. It's called Brighter Hope, but it's not the typical spelling of the word brighter. It's Breiter. Her name is Ashley Breitenstein, and Breitenstein is spelled Breitenstein. And so the bright part of Breitenstein is the thing for Brighter Hope. And she's really amazing. She's had a lot of difficult experiences, and she's been able to overcome them. And, obviously she's married to my uncle, and they're really happy with each other. And so you should definitely check it out and see what she has to say. So yeah, shout out to Brighter Hope by my aunt. Also, my uncle, a different uncle, has a podcast. I don't know what it's called, though. Or I'm not even sure if he started it yet, but I will find out information about that and tell you about it. Anyway, let's see. So the last episode I was talking about like that list of things I unnecessarily rage about. I think for the most part I went off about like The Last Jedi or Batman versus Superman or something. Which I was watching the trailers for The Last Jedi on YouTube recently, just because I remember like these feelings of excitement I got from watching the trailers for the movies. And I've already discussed why I love The Last Jedi. how I think it's a great movie, and how I feel cooler for liking it because it's so controversial. Now, when I was watching the videos on YouTube, I was reading. I like to read the comments on some videos just to see what people say. For the most part, people can just be stupid. It's, they're hiding behind their screens, and they're typing stuff that they would never actually say in real life. But what a lot of the comments were like how horrible the movie was, and I don't know. I'm so baffled. Or no. I was so baffled at why so many people didn't like it, but I had a realization that okay, so to preface my realization, before the latest Star Wars movies were coming out, starting with The Force Awakens, and like before Disney bought Star Wars pretty much, there was like an expanded universe in the form of books and video games and things like that. And so there was a lot of story already. And then when Disney bought it, they pretty much just trashed it, which I don't mind personally, just because I didn't get too attached to it. And I can see how a lot of fans would be upset about it, but I mean, the people that don't like The Last Jedi, it got big before. It got big because it was a movie, and then they made books after. It's not like Harry Potter where, the books were first and then they made movies off of the books. The original Star Wars movies were movies, and then they started making the expanded universe and stuff because people were into it. And so that's my defense of The Last Jedi, is that it's a movie just like the originals. And so you might not agree with how these movies are done just because they differ from the expanded universe. But the expanded universe is not... I hope that's the right terminology, expanded universe. I'm pretty sure it is. But anyway, it's not canon anymore. These new movies are. And so whether you'll agree with it or not is irrelevant, because now these movies are the canon now. So it's, it's time to get over it. I'm sorry. If you're going to be really upset because Disney did something with something that they own and therefore have the right to do, then I'm sorry. I don't know how to help you. You're just going to be sad. In the meantime, I am going to enjoy these movies. Those people that, rip on the director of The Last Jedi, I congratulate the director of The Last Jedi. I think it looks like Ryan, but I think it's spelled differently. I'll just say Ryan. Ryan Johnson, I thought you did a phenomenal job. And there are a lot of people that agree with me. Even my dad, who's not even super into the Star Wars movies these days, he liked The Last Jedi. He liked Rogue One better, and I might like Rogue One more than The Last Jedi, but The Last Jedi was good, and even my dad liked it. And sometimes he's a lot more critical of movies than I am, so I think that's impressive. Anyway, so another thing on the list, I put the F word is not an argument. And I mean, it's basically the concept of like, you're in a debate, and once the moment you start attacking people, personally, it's like you've pretty much lost the debate, because if you're out of good arguments and defenses and things and you just start insulting them, it's like, what are you even here for? Now you're just being mean. And I think this is just me ripping on people that swear a lot, because I don't know if it's like, obviously it's like you don't want your kids saying bad words and things, but they're bad words and they shouldn't be spoken by anyone. We don't want the children to learn these words because we don't want them to grow up saying them, and then it's a habit that will be really hard to get rid of. And it's not like, oh, you can't say these words until you reach this age, then you can. See, that's the misconception in this world. There's rated R movies and, M games with all this bad content in them. And kids have this mindset, I think, nowadays, that it's like, oh, I'm not old enough to play these, but once I hit this age, then yeah, I'm a big boy now, or a big girl, and I can do I can participate and watch all these adult things, whether it be like nudity or really profane language, things like that. It's like those things don't make you an adult. That they should be considered bad and offensive to all ages. There was a quote by a late leader of our church. I can't remember who. I think it might have been Robert D. Hales, I think was. Well, I know that's his name, but I think he was the one that said it. Oh, looks like my dad just got home from work. He drove by the mailbox to check the mail. That is something he does. It's just a compulsion he has. Man, you ever feel like your mouth just like has compromised itself? You just can't talk. That's how I kind of feel right now. But anyway, bear with me. What was I talking about? Oh, this leader's quote was, he was telling a story. I can't remember if he was the grandpa or if he just heard the story, but he was saying that this kid was speaking to his grandpa, and he was like, I think they saw like a movie trailer for like a PG-13 or R movie or something, and he was like, "Grandpa, when am I going to be old enough to watch this?" And the grandpa was like, "I don't think I'll ever be old enough to watch this." And I mean, that's a funny thing to say, but what he's saying is exactly right. That, age is completely irrelevant. It's not like you all of a sudden get to do these bad things because you've lived a certain amount of time, or you've matured a certain amount. I mean, these things are still bad, and that's one of the problems with our world today, is that people think like, oh yeah, I'm old enough, now I can do this thing. But no, bad is bad. You don't grow up by these things. I think you grow more by avoiding them, really. But not a lot of people. Like, honestly, I see people, celebrities and, well-known people act just inappropriately and disgustingly. And I just think, are these people really adults? I'm pretty sure. I mean, I do not feel like I'm 21, which I am now. I can't remember if I've made an episode since my birthday happened, but I do not feel 21. But I feel like I'm more mature and sensible than many of these people. It's like, why are these the people that get all the spotlight? All these weirdos. I mean, there's some good people out there, but anyway. Oh, I thought of this. A lot of people are like, whoever created the mosquito was an idiot. They're like, mosquitoes are the worst invention ever. And I just think, well, God created mosquitoes. So if you really have a problem with mosquitoes, you better talk to him about it, because he's responsible for them. I don't like him, but you know what? I'm going to get over it. A lot of these are superhero themed. I must have been thinking about superheroes and stuff when I made this list, but in Civil War, Captain America Civil War, they have something called the Sokovia Accords, which, if you've seen the movie, are basically a set of rules and laws set forth by the UN, the United Nations, pretty much saying that the Avengers have to be watched over by a council in the UN and can only go places that they say they need to go and whatnot. And it takes away the freedom of these people. See, what I think is evil about the Sokovia Accords is that these accords are treating the Avengers as if they're property, when they're people too. They're a rare set of people with rare abilities, but these accords pretty much hand them over to the government to be government, like global government property. And I think that's disgusting, because, I think the Avengers, I mean, there's no easy solution, just because I can see the problem of the Avengers going into other countries' borders and things like that. It's really quite a dicey situation. I think what enraged a lot of people to create the Sokovia Accords were the civilian casualties that happened as a result, which I don't find that to be a strong argument, because if the Avengers hadn't acted to save the world in all of these instances, then the world would pretty much be destroyed. Like in the first Avengers movie, the world would have been taken over by aliens. In the second one, the Earth would have just been annihilated by a giant chunk of rock that would have fallen on the Earth and destroyed everything. And the Avengers saved all that. I mean, sure, there was collateral damage from the battles, the people that wrote the Sokovia Accords are not able to feel uncomfortable, because they need to accept that, people are going to get hurt in these awkward situations of war. I mean, people get hurt in war, unfortunately. People will die. But because the Avengers acted when they did, millions and billions of lives were saved. Hundreds died as a result of their actions. However, I mean, it's not like they went up to civilians and just killed them. Like, it's just like I said, collateral. And there's nothing you can really do about that. It's either let the world end, or some people are going to have to die. And that's the fact that people died because of the Avengers is not a strong argument. And I mean, it's a tough situation. I mean, when there's what I think should happen, what I think would be good, is the Avengers can go wherever they want, but after they do what they do, they need to show proof. They need to have evidence that the world was endangered. Like, their intervention was for the good of the world. Because obviously they can't just go wherever they want and be like, oh, but we were just saving the world, when in reality maybe they were doing criminal things. I don't think they need to wait for the UN or be controlled by the UN at all. I just think that after some sort of thing, if they go and if they have to cross borders that, would normally be considered illegal to intervene in some dire situation, all they need to do is prove that they just need to bring evidence that there was a problem and that they fixed it, or that there's an ongoing problem and here's what we're working with. This is what we're probably going to need to do, type thing. Which is why S.H.I.E.L.D. was nice, because, the Avengers they pretty much had their freedom, but, they weren't just going off of their word. Everyone knew what was going on and stuff. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. fell apart, and then it was just the Avengers on their own. And I think that's why people started getting afraid. I don't know. I'm completely against the Sokovia Accords. I mean, even Colonel James Rhodes, War Machine, initially he supported the Accords, and then in Infinity War he was like, yeah, I don't think I would have ever signed that now. And which comforts me, because it's like a lot of people realize that this is evil. So anyway, there's that. Speaking of movies, oh, I think I accidentally just touched the microphone with my finger, so hopefully, yeah. Sorry, Megan. Yeah, people that make noise in movie theaters, just be quiet. I mean, I know it's easy to get excited, but for people that are easily distracted like me, that is not appreciated. And those people that have their phones out, I mean, even if the movie hasn't started yet and it's said to turn off their phones and they're still on their phone, it's like, are you serious? Is it really that important that you're just going to keep your phone on? I mean, if you were in a situation where you might get an important phone call, you wouldn't be at the movies, I don't know. That's a pet peeve of mine. It's like, people, just turn off your phone for a second. Are you really that attached to it? Anyway, moving on. Oh yeah, I think I already talked about this, but when people are giving talks at church, so in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, members of the ward, the little area that the church presides over, the members are occasionally asked to speak in church. And what some people do when they go up there is say like, oh man, I hate speaking. I'm being punished for this, What did I do to deserve this? Or, just bear with me. Hopefully I won't detract from the spirit that we felt today. I hate it when people say that, because it's like, well, you're just hedging, Just give the talk, You have nothing to worry about. People aren't going to go and be like, that was a horrible talk. Unless it absolutely was. And I mean, someone just went up there yelling and screaming or saying something that we obviously didn't believe in. And it just bothers me, because it's like, I don't know. I'm sure I'm overreacting about this, but it's just like, we don't want to hear you complain or, talk about how, unprepared or, how you shouldn't be the one to speak or whatever. Just give the talk and we'll have a great time. So yeah, one of my least favorite things are millennials that just feel so entitled. Kids these days. Last summer, I was a counselor for a youth conference, and there was some kids in my group that just drove me insane, because the way they were acting, it's like, oh yeah, I'm all this, I'm all that, I'm invincible, pretty much, was the feeling I was getting from them. It was so annoying, because it's like, what makes you so special that you are superior to everyone else? Have you ever even worked hard in your life? I don't know. I hate those attitudes. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this one. So, I think that flatulence is among some of the funniest humor ever. I mean, obviously, I prefer other kinds of humor, just because, I don't want all that I mean, I could just watch SpongeBob if all I wanted was like flatulence and weird noises and random stuff. Seasons 1 through 3 of SpongeBob are really funny, but after that, I think it just went downhill in a bad way. But yeah, I think flatulence is so funny, especially when you're not supposed to laugh about it. Like in the middle of class, or somebody saying a prayer and somebody just lets one rip right in the middle. I think that is so funny. And those people that, they're just people that judge others for like laughing at flatulence and things. It's like, do you have no joy in life? Are you really going to think less of me for laughing at this? I mean, yeah, I'm not saying people should go around farting everywhere. That's not appropriate, and I don't condone that at all. But sometimes things happen, and when they do, I'm gonna laugh. But yeah. Oh, this is the inner janitor in me. I wrote, people, please teach your children not to touch glass windows or doors. It's gross. And don't do it yourself. If you've ever been to, if there's any students listening to this podcast, look at the windows of your school, or even if you go to church, look at the window, like the windows on the doors of your school or your church building or any other public place with like glass doors, and look at the windows and look at how filthy they are. I mean, because you think you can see through the windows, all right, and you can, but if you look, if you really look, there's just smudges of fingerprints and other things on there. It's like, if people you don't touch glass with your hands. Why would you muck it up? It's a nightmare as a janitor. I just saw my Haley. I just saw my Haley. No, I saw my sister Haley run up to the front door. She must have gotten home from work and it's cold outside. But yeah. People that litter. Yeah, I hate people that litter, because it's like, are you so lazy that you can't even pick up the thing you just used and throw it away? It's like, are you out of your mind? Just pick the thing up and throw it away, because now there's just garbage sitting there and nothing good is going to come from that. If everyone just threw their garbage wherever they wanted, everywhere would be disgusting. And so I'm glad that there are fines for people that litter and stuff. They should absolutely have to pay a fine for being so lazy. You know, just get up off your feet and pick up your garbage. Just walk over to that trash can over there or whatever. Excuse me while I get a drink of water. I don't know why my throat was so dry. Anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, I hate it when people make fun of the police force of the United States as a whole. Make fun of the police force as a whole. And, you know, talk about how bad they are and how they are, you know, taking advantage of the citizens and things. I'm so upset by that because the police are my heroes. And I believe that the heroes of our country deserve to be celebrated. And, I mean, that goes for the police, firefighters, paramedics, you know, those people that keep us safe from bad people or just bad situations. You know, they don't get paid enough, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of police officers, and I think they should be paid more for all the good that they do. And I mean, obviously, you know, there's a crooked cop here and there. Not every policeman acts appropriately, and not everyone should be a policeman, but a policeman or policewoman or whatever. You know, I just, to suggest that all the police in America are racist or, you know, just living off the fat of the land. That is not the term I meant to say. There's nothing wrong with living off the fat of the land. Like, I don't know, like somehow they're being treated well by the government for like persecuting people. Like, none of that's true. I know that's not true. And people that think that are wrong, and they need to be educated about the police. Also, the police, the band, are pretty good. I like them. I think I'm almost done here. I wrote down a few other things about superhero movies that I thought about recently, and I'll talk about those things, and then I'll probably wrap up. Hopefully this isn't like too anticlimactic of a finale episode. But anyway, I will move on. So the Captain Marvel movie is coming out soon, and I read an article that apparently it's being bombed for not being that good already. Some people have the opportunity to watch a premiere of it. I'm not sure how that works, like how they get a week, they get to watch it a week before everyone else, or 2 weeks or whatever. But, you know, it's already kind of getting some criticism, critical criticism. And when I heard that, my theory was coming true. And my theory is that, you know, Wonder Woman came out, and it was a great movie, and pretty much everyone liked it. I don't know many people that didn't like it. Maybe, I mean, I have a few friends that didn't really like it, but they're just so picky with movies anyway. But pretty much everyone liked Wonder Woman. And see, Wonder Woman, a lot of people thought it was cool because, you know, it was a female superhero. And I think that's cool, but that's not why I liked the movie. I liked it because it was a good movie, and, you know, she happens to be female, and that's cool. See, my criteria for superheroes and like political leaders and whatever are not what gender they are. It's whether or not they're competent. You know, that's what's important to me. And Wonder Woman was competent. She was good. She had a lot of morals that were exemplified during the movie. And that was cool. Wonder Woman was portrayed in a good way. And, you know, I really liked that. I thought Wonder Woman was a great film. Now, Wonder Woman had every opportunity to be like a kind of a feminist movie, like, yeah, women are superior to men. And, you know, obviously that's not true, and vice versa. Men aren't superior to women, you know. And if you think that, then you're weird and you are genuinely sexist. But that wasn't the message of Wonder Woman at all. Now, I feel like since Wonder Woman did so well, this is my theory, that Captain Marvel will overcompensate, because Captain Marvel will be the first like female solo movie. Because I mean, there's been female superheroes, and even Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was like Ant-Man and then the Wasp. You know, it was like the two of them in the title, the Wasp being the female. But now this is a Captain Marvel movie, and Captain Marvel, it's about her, and you know, she's the female, and I feel like Marvel might overcompensate and make it too feminist, because Wonder Woman did great, and so they're going to try and top that by making it too feminist, and I'm afraid of that. I mean, I'm sure I'll still like it, because it's got Nick Fury and it's got Phil Coulson. You know, Phil Coulson, we haven't seen him in movie format for like 7 years or so. So I'm pumped for that. And to see a young Nick Fury with both of his eyes, that'll be cool. It has some characters from other movies too. Like it's got Ronan from the first Guardians of the Galaxy and his helper guy. They're in it too. This is a culmination of a lot of different characters, and I think that'll be cool about it. But we'll see. I mean, Jude Law's in it. Jude Law's a cool chap. So, I mean, it'll probably be cool. But yeah, I mean, and again, I'm not saying that I'm not going to like Captain Marvel because the lead character is a female. That has nothing to do with it. I mean, it's just, I don't want it to have a weird message or some agenda or something. And what I was saying about Wonder Woman, it applies to Black Panther too. Black Panther was the last Marvel movie I saw recently, and I love Black Panther. If you look at my list, if you go back to my list of like rankings of Marvel movies, Black Panther's number 2, I think, just because I thought it was a really compelling story. Wakanda is such a cool culture, and I loved the different feel to it. Now, the villain's take is that, you know, black people in America were being treated poorly in America, and that they're not being treated fairly, and that Wakanda can use its resources to free them and have oppressed people rise up and take over. Now, that wasn't the main character's belief. He believed that Wakanda could use its resources to help everybody. And at the end of the movie, in one of the post-credit scenes, King T'Challa says that, you know, we have more in common than we don't. I can't remember what he said exactly, but it was something like that, which suggests that race is not what's important about us. It's that we're all brothers and sisters on this earth. And you know, whatever race we have, that's cool. But we should help everyone regardless. And no one's race is better than anyone else's. And see, the villain in Black Panther used the intersectionality mentality, because he was saying black people are, you know, supposedly victimized, and so we need to help them. Whereas T'Challa was saying, yes, we need to help them, but we also need to make sure everyone else is doing great as well. And that's why the movie wasn't a radical movie, and that it wasn't a black people are better movie. It was Wakanda had all this technology and resources that it had been keeping from the world for a long time, until Wakanda's new king decided that it was going to change its ways and help everyone around the world. You know, and we're going to start small. They were going to have like an embassy in New York or wherever it was. I think it was New York. And that's why I loved Black Panther. It was awesome. It had a great message. It was unique. The casting was really good. I love Andy Serkis's role in that movie. He's so funny. Also, for the true nerds, if you pay attention to Black Panther, their first war dogs are ready in New York, Hong Kong, and London, which coincidentally are the locations of the Sanctums from Doctor Strange. I don't know how that would even be related, but it occurred to me that that was true. Anyway, something to think about. And then this is the last thing. I saw Thor Ragnarok recently too, because I've been watching the Marvel movies in order, and Ragnarok, that was the movie before Black Panther, and so we watched that recently too. I mean, this last time I watched it, I mean, Ragnarok might be my least favorite movie, because in Thor 2 originally was. But when I watch Thor 2, I don't think like, oh man, like this is a bad movie. I thought, they tried to make a good movie, and there's a lot of things where you're like, oh, okay, what? But I mean, I still like it. The thing with Ragnarok is that it's the director was so incompetent. He was so, what am I trying to say? He was not confident so much that he pretty much just made a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I mean, it had the zaniness of a Guardians of the Galaxy movie because those are really successful. Everyone likes those movies a lot. And so he just went with that format. Now, the story itself was cool, had a good plot and things, but it was too stupid. It's like the director wasn't even confident in the jokes he was putting in the movie. Because he put so many in the movie, even in moments that weren't even appropriate. And a lot of the jokes are hit and miss. It's like, hey, that was funny. Next joke, okay, that wasn't that funny. And I don't know. There's a lot of things that I would change about the movie. See, with Thor 2, I'm not sure how I would change it, so I'm just going to take it how it is. But with Thor Ragnarok, there are specific things that I would take out and specific things I would change. And it's like, if you would have had me on there, movie would have been way better. And I know a lot of people think that Ragnarok's their favorite, and that's cool, Everyone's their own person. They can like it if they want. But there's so many things about that movie that I have to penalize it for. So it's probably my least favorite. That being said, I still really enjoy the movie. I mean, I still like it, but I think it's overrated. And I was comforted because I went to a hockey game, the hockey game I talked about in a past episode. The people I drove up with agreed with me that they thought Ragnarok was overrated. And I was like, yeah, vindication. I feel okay about believing this. Anyway, I think that'll about wrap it up. I guess that wasn't too short of an episode, almost hitting the 40-minute mark. But anyway, it's been a great season. I really enjoy doing these podcasts. So what am I trying to say? Thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode and this first season of Spilling the Beans. I'm going to try and upgrade the next season because I thought I did great on this first one. I was figuring things out and trying new things. I'm going to see, how I can improve and, what I'll add that's new to the next season, It'll be a great experience. So, I'm holding an invisible glass with invisible water in it because I don't drink, and I'm going to do cheers to you and, lift my glass. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is here's to a good next season, and I just feel like I need an invisible chalice in my hand. I'm making the motion right now. You can't see it, but I promise I am. So let's dink it. 1, 2, 3. Or dink it and sink it, as they say on Good Mythical Morning. Anyway. So yeah, thanks for supporting me. And, well, real quick, I think at this point, I've made a total of like 20 cents or something. And hey, that's cool. Never thought I'd make money from a podcast, and I made 20 cents. So I can probably pay for like one lozenge in case my voice gets sore, my throat gets sore recording these. That's where I'm at right now. Let's shoot for 50 cents next season. All right, thanks everyone, and you'll hear from me soon.